Hey, I'm Kev, Mr. Khan. Welcome back to MotoGP 17 and the manager career. And you never guess what the conditions were like in free practice round the Silverstone circuit and the British Grand Prix. Yes, it was wet. It was dry at the beginning and it started to rain after around 5 or 10 minutes into the session. So, MacDonald was fastest in free practice by around 5 seconds ahead of his teammate and Rossi. Then Marquez, Vinales, Dovi, Quattro, Pedrosa, Inoni and Lorenzo just pips Zarco into qualifying 2 by 7 thousandths of a second, and very close between all the riders apart from MacDonald. So let's see if it's going to be rain or dry for qualifying and if MacDonald can grab another pole. Well, it looks like we've got exactly the same conditions as practice. As you can see, it looks a bit dry. There's a dry line emerging, but it is still wet enough for wet tyres. So let's see what MacDonald can do on these 2 laps. Might even just be 1 lap. We have a good first lap. I think by now we're confident enough that MacDonald will be right up there. So let's see what you can do. So you set 55 in practice. Into a big gap to those behind. Looks like one of the Honda riders are out. MacDonald taking his own route there as well. Trying to take on the older pit lane. Exit. Goes through Maggots and Beckett's. I do hate how horribly they are modelled in this game. Maggots and Beckett's. It's flat out. It actually goes slightly downhill instead of a big crest in the middle and uphill. I don't know where Morrison have got their data, but we have to look at that for the next game. So they have spruced up some circuits for this game. And changed little things like curves as well, with patches. Of course they did that with Catalunya when they decided to run the F1 circuit instead of the new chicane at the end of the lap this year. And they quickly patched that. Of course they can't patch, bigger issues with the game. So they haven't released a patch for a number of months. They're totally giving up for this game now. So on to gravel and MotoGP 18. And what else is coming out next year for them? Oh yeah, they got the Supercross game as well, which I'm guessing is in place of the motocross game. And Supercross is basically in America where they race around arenas, from what I understand. Big stars of that like Chad Reed, the Australian, which you saw in Valentino Rossi the game. If you did the Enduro Ranch events, you saw that he's one of the riders. So that's a 56.3 from MacDonald. You didn't see it start to rain as well in his first lap. We also have Ryan Lungley. Well, I get his name because I don't really follow Supercross, to be fair. I've only kept an eye on it in the past, and MacDonald goes down over that curb, which he's done in the races in the past. When we did that in Moto2 in his last year there. Had to fight his way through the field. Almost won that race. As you'll never guess, MacDonald grabbed the pole. Ahead of the Flying Finn with Vinales in 3rd, Marquez 4th, Rossi 5th, Dovi 6th, Pedrosa 7th, Quattro 8th, Zarco 9th, Inoni leads the 4th ahead of Lorenzo, and Danilo Petrucci is pretty handy. Then the wet on that Premac. But another pole for MacDonald. Can he convert it into another win? As looking at the grid, look at that. 1st and 2nd for the Pink Panthers of Elusive, and then looking further back for Petrucci. Pretty happy with 12. And see in the background, we've got some dry conditions for the race as Spargo in 13th, Mida back to reality down in 16th on the grid, and on the special road, it looks like it's going to be the KTM hero from the last race, Bradley Smith.
Everything's ready for the race to start now. We're just waiting for those lights to go out. The riders will take these last few seconds to focus on the race ahead.
As you can see, we've got a wet track, so it's going to be drying during this race. We've got a pretty decent run towards Cops. Just wait for the lights to appear and go out for this 5-lap race. MacDonald got a decent start. Well, breaks himself slightly into Cops, but holding it round the outside and holds on to the lead. Ahead of his teammate and Vinales. Couldn't have wished for better conditions, could he? The Scot with his home round. Let's go through. It's Beckett. And look at that second gap on Vinales behind. Almost loses the rear end though. Standing the bike up too quickly there. But holds on. Actually made him have a bit of a slingshot down this hanger straight. Up to almost 200 miles per hour for braking for Stowe. Taking that in third gear, be very smooth on the power. As you head towards the Silverstone wing. Looks like he's saying hi to you there. As you head towards Vale. And then into Club. And then see we've got some dry patches as the Flying Fiend gets past Vinales in Vale. There's an elusive 1-2 ahead. The factory Yamaha, but it's all Yamaha podium once again. How many times have we said that this season? Just like we did the last time out in Austria. As there goes Vinales past the Flying Finn up into second in Abbey. Now into the loop. In this newer complex section for Silverstone. Been around since 2010. Still not the biggest fan of it, but you do see passing in there. Be fair, it's pretty good for the bikes. He's almost got a 5-second lead, but oh, this is ridiculous. Goes slightly wide. Into Brooklands, now into Luffield. Chuck the bike in. Dad the brakes, then turn it round. Be smooth on the power on the exits. Oh, the Flying Finn's past Vinales again. That's either into Brooklands or Luffield. I'm guessing Brooklands. At the end of the Weddington straight to go on to the second lap. With a 2-minute flat. That's what it should be setting normally. That's what everyone else is setting. Look at that 6-second lead out the Flying Finn after one lap. We talk about Senna's Donington 93 being a mega opening lap. Well, Sam MacDonald's just put his marker down for history. Look at that, it's not even coming on the timing in the bottom there for now. That's how far ahead he is already in this 5-lap race. So he gets into the water slightly and see a drying line appearing for the racing line. So you've got to manage these wet tyres slightly. Tyre wear might be an issue on the final lap. But again, the wet tyres generally don't degrade as quickly as the softs or dry tyres. They should be good. Go past the Silverstone ring. Crazy looking building. Still not sure what to think of it. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it looks bad, depending on the angle. So I guess I'll just stick with alright. Going to the complex. Again, another alright section. And there's the Flying Finn back past Vinales. At the beginning of it, maybe for Abbey Farm. So feathers that throttle through Aintree and onto the Wellington straight. Let's head towards Luffield. Or Brooklyn, should I say, then Luffield. We're very wide. Not many spectators in the grandstands. Going to the left hand side. Or they're very well hidden. There's all taking the curb in Woodcote. That's not what you're meant to do, but thankfully with modern circuit, you've got so much runoff area. That extends to Gatwick come back. I believe that does. So 57.9 from MacDonald. As you saw, he made a bit of a Horlicks of the final sector, so you can dip into the 56s if you so pleases. But it might just be tyre conservation mode from now on in this third lap. Even though the tyres aren't that bad, around quarter of the way worn, it looks like in the bottom right, or even a fifth of the way worn. Now we've definitely got a dry line to race on with them. Even though we want to go a bit wide, offline to call them. At least if that was a thing in this game, I'm not sure it is, but they do have temperatures, but I believe that gets hot when you're just spinning up out of every corner. But if you're riding smoothly, you should be fine. So around halfway through this race, Got the flying fin in second, just to say that. Vinales overtakes him. That's a commentator's curse if ever you saw one. Got a helicopter just hovering overhead as well. There is complex section. Good place for the helicopter. You can follow the bikes for a good like 30 seconds. Just hovering there. As the flying fin gets back by Vinales for second. As Miller heads on to the penultimate lap of this race. It is flying by for him in the lead. Had no troubles. And it looks like he's extending the championship in the lead. It was the lead in the championship. I've really just switched off this race. That's how easy it's been for MacDonald. 57.8. Not even pushing that hard. Vinales up to second ahead of the flying fin. Leading the race is probably a country mile. I believe that's what the time would say. Let's go through Maggots and Beckett's. As I was talking about in qualifying, looking ahead to the games that Marcel will release next year. We've got the Supercross game, which, as I said, is like the MXGP game we got this year. They've got the same spec bikes, but in Supercross, as I said, they race round like stadiums and purpose-made tracks. It is pretty spectacular to look at, even though I haven't watched a lot of it, I admit. And I said I don't really follow it. Oh yeah, I'm a bit excited for that, because you don't normally get those games. And the last official Supercross game was the MX vs ATV Supercross Hardcore Edition, or whatever they called the Deluxe Edition. And that's from Nordic THQ. I've got that game, I haven't played it yet, but judging from their previous MX vs ATV games, it's perhaps not going to be the best experience, as there goes the flying fin back past Vinales. But it's good to see that Supercross has a developer of quite a lot of recent experience at off-road games to make their next one, and it makes sense for, of course, the World Motocross game developer. I was going to make also the Supercross game. As you are on the final lap, MacDonald sets a 57.2. And Vinales back past the flying fin. He's all taking a bit too much curbing to Maggots there. Lucky to survive. But it didn't fall, which is the most important bit. Go down a hanger straight. So that Supercross game is coming, I believe, in February or March. They've had a teaser trailer released with that Ryan Dungey or Dungy. As I apologise, I said I don't follow it, so I can't remember his name exactly off the top of my head. But he's actually retiring of the current season. So it's going to be the only game he's going to appear in, and he is their best rider as well. It's going to be a bit of hole at the top in 2018, which will be very interesting to follow next season, as Model's halfway through this final lap. And then of course there's gravel coming from Milestone as well. Their off-road racer. Looks a bit like Sega Rally, you know, those old type of off-road racing games. Very much looking forward to it. Now again, Milestone game, proceed with caution. So unfortunately, as I said about Milestone in the past, they have good games, good bases for games. They're just sometimes getting their own way with bugs and not supporting the games enough. Now, so with Y2, it looks like they turned the corner with supporting the game for like a year. Great support for the game. But then this year, with just 2 games, MXGP and this game, just support for a few months have moved on. Even though there's still quite a few issues with the games. But we'll see next year. Also, of course, MotoGP 18 out on the new engine next year. Very excited to see that. As MacDonald wins by 24 seconds ahead of his teammate who beat out Vinales by a couple tenths of a second. Then you have Marquez in 4th, Rossi 5th, Dovi 6th, Quattro 7th, Pedrosa 8th, Zarco 9th, Lorenzo rounds out the top 10 ahead of Petrucci. Then Anissa Spargo back in the points on the Aprilia, Scott Redding, Drayton and Noni down in 14th on the Suzuki, and then Jonas Folger grabbing the final point on his Tech 3 ahead of Loris Baz by a second. Has right at the back in his home race was Sam Lowes. So in the championship, MacDonald leads by almost 2 race wins ahead of his teammate heading into the final third of the season with just 150 points up for grabs, if I've got that maths correct off the top of my head. He's got a 48-point lead ahead of the Flying Finn, with Marquez in third, 7 points ahead of the Yamaha duo of Rossi and Vinales, with Dovi already out of it in 6th, 129 points back in his Ducati, around half the points of MacDonald. With Quattro in 7th, Pedrosa 8th, Zarco 9th, and Lorenzo ran out the top 10 ahead of Petrucci, then Ian Noni, Redding, Espargaro, Folger, Miller, Baz, Baptista, Alex Wind, and Bradley Smith all scored points, with just Hector Barber, Paul Espargaro, Tito Brabat, Kerry Abraham, and Sam Rose yet to score this season. In constructors standings, Yamaha lead Honda by 118 points, are virtually guaranteed the championship already. Has Ducati already out of it in third, 31 points behind Honda. Then you've got Suzuki 4th, Aprilia 5th, and KTM in 6th. And in the team's rankings, Elusive lead by 138 points ahead of the factory Yamaha team, with Honda in 3rd, Ducati 4th, Pramac 5th, Tech 3 6th, LCR 7th, Suzuki 8th, Aprilia 9th, Mark VDS 10th, Vintia, Aspar, and the factory KTM effort at the back. As, yes, a very jubilant MacDonald with his home victory. Dominant in practice, in qualifying, and in the race. Looks like he was never going to be beaten. Has the Flying Finn and Vinales exchanged notes after their battle in the race. As, yes, that bike was a peach this race. The country were partying hard. And it's the same story in Moto2. Look at that, with Andrea grabbing another victory from 33rd on the grid, ahead of the Portuguese rider who started third, finished second, that ends his run of victories. But still another 1-2. They really have come on strong, especially the Portuguese rider this season. And in Moto3, there was no victory. So starting on pole was the Swede, who finished in second. Leandro started third, finished third. They are still 1-2 in the championship. Though, has Leandro improves his body position, Andrea improves his front management cornering, and the Portuguese rider improves his braking, front management, and cornering. And yeah, the usual with credits and reputation. And we are in the transfer window. Let's just check the garage. We've got 1 week to go for the engine, 4 weeks for the brakes, 6 weeks for the frame. So we're not going to do anything in the transfer window. I believe we've got all the bikes purchased. Do you want to change bikes for MacDonald? Perhaps have a bit of a go on the Ducati, maybe? Ooh, I am tempted, actually. But we're still fighting for the championship with our teammate. No one else is in the offering. You know, Marquez is 3.5 race wins behind with 6 races to go. Now, MacDonald can afford to finish second in every race and still storm to the championship. Oh, should I change it up with bike selection? But if I do, that also affects the Flying Finn as well, going to the Ducati. So you also have the KTM, Aprilia, Suzuki, and the Honda. Could of course give the Honda a bit of a go as well. But I do want to go on the Ducati. That was my goal, to win the championship on the Ducati, but... oh... as you can see with the Yamaha, that's fully developed, 96 handed, 100% speed, acceleration, and the brakes. Then we go down to 80 for the Honda, 76 for the Ducati, 72 for the Suzuki, 64 for the Aprilia, and the KTM. You know what? I'm going to let you decide. So put it down below whether you think we should switch to Ducati for the final third of the season, or the Honda, or even the Suzuki. And you'll find out next time if we do. So now for watching, I will see you then.